Have somebody waits for you, just once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year. This one where you can see somebody waits for you, just once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year.
Hi, Gordon.
Take a look at the 5 and 10.
Listening to
Candy canes circulating boy. It's beginning to look a lot like but the prettiest sight to see is the holly that on your own front door. A pair of hop-along boots and Christmas shoes have bewitched Barney and Ben.
Dolls and chocolates go for one, it's a hope for Jennifer King.
And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. Every time it goes like a song.
So we're going to start with, I checked with Charles, we're going to start with this song.
Okay.
And if people want, we'll do the second one.
Many times.
Keep a seat for me. Okay, can you come in?
I'm going to sit here. It makes it
Can she sit on the other side?
So with your telephoto, you can actually get pictures with us going along.
Good afternoon. Come on in, come one, come all. Nick Rempel and colleagues, step right in. Scaria, come on in here. Michael, and people can move up a little closer towards the front here. Gordon, maybe step up a little bit. And Minoru, step up a little bit so we don't have everybody jammed. Come on in. Dr. Rempel. And don't stand in the back. Come closer, if you will. Marcel. And company. Okay. Delphin, come a little closer, if you will. Closer. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention? Now, every single time this happens, everybody's jammed in the back like sardines, and there's all this open space. Can we just, for once in history, not do it that way? For God's sake, is this a human? We're going to break this human frailty. Step forward. We need room at the bar. Okay, and just to know, all right, everybody step forward. And just to know, there's a lot of drinks, there's wine. Okay, you're gonna have to stop talking now. Okay. Good afternoon. All right, come in, come up, and feel free. The tall people shouldn't come in the very front. Maybe if you get on your knees. Yeah, get on your knees. The tallest people shouldn't be in the very front. Okay. So, good afternoon. This is one of the more special days of the year, of the decade, of the century. And why is that? It's because this is the day we're going to celebrate and honor Dr. Veerle van der Weert. Okay, and we know that we can't do justice to who she is and what she's contributed, but we're going to do our level best to get on the scoreboard. Mr. Patton, please step right in. There's no reason to be standing outside in the freaking hall. No reason. Uh-oh. Who's sound man? Did somebody step on something, or?
Is it on?
Oh, maybe.
It's on that side, yeah.
Hello, hello. We can hear you. Okay, but you're not going to be able to hear everybody else necessarily. Okay, while Alberto figures out the problem and solves it, Usman, come on in. Annalise, in. So, and just to know, we're going to be chatting and doing some fun things for the next few minutes. So feel free to step over, grab some white wine. There are 3 different kinds of red wine, 2 different kinds of white wine. They're all excellent. You can do a blind tasting while we go ahead here. And you can also step out and grab more food and all that. So you're not fixed to where you're sitting.
I think we have to forget about it.
Okay, well, I think we're going to need some sound. So somebody figure that out, please. Okay, so what we wanted to do is to take a few minutes and just share from our own experience about the experience of working with Dr. van der Weert, being with her, and I know for myself, I remember the first time I met her. I'd heard that there was this person who was going to be head of this group, and I go, oh God, who is this? What is this going to mean? How is this going to turn out? And I'll never forget my first. Hello. It's not an eagle. We can do better than this. This is BDP or BPBS, whatever we are. We can do better. But I just wanted to say I'll never forget that meeting, because I remember, and I think many of you have had that experience of sitting with her and just talking and introducing myself and having this experience of so much energy, so much aliveness, so much intention, and I would go, wow, this person is phenomenal. Who the heck is she? And it was a sense of empowerment and enlivenment, and I left there really enlivened, and it's been that way ever since. I can't remember when that was. Was it, how long is that, 5 years? 5 years of that kind of experience, and just my sense of her is she's like, I just wrote down somewhere, she's bold, she's adventurous, she's fearless, she's confident.
My son is not here.
We'll give him equal opportunity. She's smart, she's fun, and most of all, she's trusting and she's empowering. And that's really my experience of being enabled to really do my job and swing out and make a difference. And I think she's an advanced human being. This is one of these evolved human beings in so many ways. But I just wanted to share my initial sense, and we're going to say a little bit more about her as we go. She just has an enormous curiosity and interest in the world, in art, in music, and everything else. So this is a Renaissance woman. But now I wanted to just open it up for a number of other people, and I think we're not giving speeches, we're just sharing an experience, and I wanted to just open it up, and I wish we had a microphone. And we'll start, and maybe I wonder, Adriana, would you like to say a few words with a flawed microphone?
I think I speak pretty
Yes.
well. Now, I don't know if I manage to stand, so I might need to sit down, but I'll start by standing. So, since this is a time with the first time when we met, Okay, so go back in time. I don't remember the time of the year, but I remember very clearly all the emotions associated with that. Because we received an email, and I think I have to say, I was on my natural state of acting in a position. Yeah, so I was the regional practice leader for in Bratislava for environment and energy, and we heard that the new director for environment and energy group is coming to visit us. Now, I don't know if Olav is here, but Olav did not come to see us all the time that I was there. So maybe he came before. But he didn't come to see us, so all of a sudden we felt very important. So we're like, yes, finally, because all the other directors were coming to visit people in Bratislava, but the environment and energy practice never got anyone. So we looked at everyone, like, okay, I'm going to organize that Veerle is going to speak at the staff meeting. So everybody here will know that environment is also important, and we have someone from New York coming, and this is the time when New York had this mythical kind of touch to it. So we prepared the mother of all PowerPoint presentations. It was up to everything, because we wanted to show Veerle how wonderful we are in Europe and CIS, the forgotten region. So we were so happy with absolutely everything. So you come. So you enter at this staff meeting with everybody, all the practices, everybody's there, and I'm beaming, and I'm so happy. And you say, listen, I am not here for the environment. I am not here, and I'm not interested in the butterfly, the bird, and the bees. Later it became crocodiles. For 3 years it was butterfly, bird, and bees. And so I kind of looked around. Everybody was beaming. I'm interested in the contribution of environment to sustainable development and poverty alleviation. This is the reason why I'm here. So we're like all deleting the slides. Especially myself, because I was like, all the no economic valuation of pollination. They have bees there. So let's see what's going to happen. So that was the first time when we met. What was amazing is that Veerle had that vision, that was what, 5 years ago? So when she came with a very, very clear vision that she is going to better articulate the contribution of environment to sustainable development and to poverty alleviation. She wanted that, and she worked on this every single day. And this is the way we have now the strategic plan, where you have the environmental sustainability fully mainstreamed in the strategic plan of UNDP. And she worked tirelessly on all of this. Yeah. Sometimes it's always, be careful of what you wish. But this is what you knew very clearly from the beginning. What do you want? What you want to achieve? And that was always like in all my interactions with you. You've been my supervisor for most of my years at UNDP, except for 2 years, because I started before you.
And you still
For 3 years.
And you still have to
And you have always given me lots of guidance and trust and confidence to the point that, people would say that I'm left completely free to roam and up to my own devices to do whatever I want, because I have the full confidence and the trust from my supervisor, and that was great because I grew a lot in this time, and I want to thank you for this. But what I would like to share with you is a time when Veerle called me and said, "Do you have plans this weekend?" And I said, "No, I was visiting in New York." I said, no, I don't. It's like, "Do you want to come with me to chase naked men?" okay, she's my supervisor, I need to go. I was like, okay, can we have breakfast first? So we met for breakfast. We had a wonderful breakfast because Veerle really likes cuisine. And so we went to a wonderful, amazing place with a celebrity chef. And after that, Veerle had like her map with the places in Manhattan where you see naked men on the rooftops. The event horizon of Anthony Bromley. So as maybe you do not know, but Veerle has a very deep love for art. So this is how we spent 3 hours chasing naked men through Manhattan. And you know, checking each of them, making sure that we don't miss one. And then she texts me. It's like an image of our day together chasing naked men. I was like, I don't want to do this. But thank you for sharing that.
Because these were statues, you should have better explain because not everybody might know which artwork we were. I don't want to go with a bad reputation.
That's
So I don't know if you know, he's a London-based, is a Brit sculptor, artist who has a magnificent exhibit in Manhattan with sculptures of the same, like in metal, same persons, men, on various rooftops on the flagship buildings in Manhattan. And they were naked.
They were steel. Next time I will say, can we go and visit Steel Man?
Thank you. Jalal and Famika-san, could you step up a little bit closer? So, thank you. Who else would like to say something? If you'd like, maybe Patrick over there. What do you think? Patrick Hullers, acting head.
Ik zal het in het Nederlands doen.
Ja, dat is goed.
I'll be very brief, but I think it's been a pleasure to have Veerle, as a friend and as a very good colleague in the policy group. And I joined recently, and it's probably sad to see you leaving already, because it was always nice to have a nice lunch and get a bit of your advice on things. But I think what I will always remember, and I think many of the colleagues will say the same thing, is the extraordinary advocacy and enthusiasm that you always had for the environment and for all the work that your team was doing. I've seen you in action in regional events with the regional bureaus and the regional centers, and it's always been inspiration to all of us, I think, to see how you defend the cause for what you are working. So we will certainly stay in touch, and I would like to thank you for all the friendship and the advice that you gave me on many issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who else? Just identify yourself. Monsieur Janson.
Yeah.
And then,
No, really. I hesitate to talk. I think I know most of the people in the room, but if you don't know me, my name's Gordon Johnson. I used to be the practice manager here in the Environment and Energy Group, and God bless Matilda for replacing me and allowing me to go out. But as a result, I sat next to Veerle for 3 years, the best 3 years of my life. And I'm going to give Veerle a compliment, but I'm going to back into this compliment with a criticism. We've said very nice things about Veerle, but there's one criticism that she's worthy of, and that is that there's a certain inconsistency in what she says and what she does. And I noticed this after her 29th trip abroad. She would come back, drag herself in on a Monday morning. She'd just flown all night from God knows where, and she would come in and she goes, "Oh, I hate traveling." And I said, as her trusted advisor, as the practice manager, I said, "Veerle, you don't have to travel. You're the boss. You can send people, delegate." And she goes, "Oh, I hate traveling." And you know what? The next week, she was on another plane, right? Going to another place and doing what I think Veerle does best. And this is the compliment. fighting. Fighting for the good, fighting for the UN, fighting for the environment, fighting for the environment on behalf of sustainable development, not necessarily the birds and the bees and the trees and the crocodiles, but fighters. So she's had a huge influence on my life as an example of somebody who is so committed that they would continuously do something that they hate so much. Like get on that plane and go to that conference and corner people in the hallways and push the agenda of the United Nations and UNDP and the Environment Energy Group and Environment. And for that, we thank you very much for your example. And I've made a bet with Veerle. She tells me that in spite of the fact that she hates to travel, she's now going to rent a car and do the Great American Road Trip. God bless her. But my bet is this, she'll be back.
Well, I can only echo this thing with Veerle, and I don't think I know anyone with so much energy as you have, Veerle. It's really amazing, right? And I just think we all share this, and I could give examples, but I have an example of it's not naked men. But I do have a photo I saw the other day on my cell phone of a bedspread made out of old tea bags. That's thanks to you, because we were past some place and you had. So you're always the curiosity going out, and it's so embedded in you. It's so much part of you. This whole thing after the long week and the long travel, you have to explore more and find out more things. Now, on a personal note, Veerle, because I came in as a secondee, and you're kind of, where are you? Where are you going? You haven't met my new boss. What's she like? Oh my God. And I remember the first time, I think it was not entirely clear what I was doing, but we were discussing it. And then you asked me to draft a little paper. You were going to China, you said, and you said, can you please give me a page on issues with China? And then afterwards, of course, I said, why did she do that? Of course, to test me, right? Very cleverly. To give me, is she worth anything? This new secondee. Now, after that, really, I think we've had, and I really want to thank you for that. Every meeting we've had, you bring in this strategic perspective. You bring something in that I take back when I go. There's something added, right? There's always something that's been added and a new perspective, and it's so valuable. I cannot say, as when you work with your boss, has to give you that. You have to take that out of each and every meeting. On top of that, Veerle, and I'm going to say everyone has, or so far has been speaking about your trust and your confidence. That's very nice. It's speaking about the glass half full. Sometimes it helps us understand better when we say half empty. And when I say this, it's the half empty way. You are not afraid of your staff. Veerle, that is such a gift. No, really, it is. If we discuss something, you're not afraid that I will run away with it, that I will. It's not like, what do you want to use that for, right? Those are comments you sometimes get from people who should not be saying things like that to staff, but encourage that they want to explore things and work. And this is something that you would never do. The third and final point I want to make is that you're also extremely aware of your the responsibility that comes with being the boss of other people. Right? There's never delays in approving anything, and like the little things that matter to us, our leave, our whatever it is, right? It's always smooth and it's done, and that really matters, right? It's not like can I go and ask her, can I? And then, well, I'm going to add a number 4 point, which is sometimes when you are going, I'm thinking, she's a little bit off track. Not like the North Metro, right? But we're discussing something here, and Veerle is, how do I get her back without being sort of, and I think, and I do, and then I maybe shoot you an email, and then you're so easy, I kind of say, you're very engaged, but you don't sort of stand on things, and right? You go and you flow, and that's also a compliment, Veerle. It's a very big part of it. So thank you so much. I'm also taking off now, and I will think of you in my new job. And I really appreciated working with you for the past 5 years.
Dr. Takada?
sorry. I defer to
Alison. Alison,
Alison, not too many secrets, please.
I'm jealous, and I have known Veerle actually long before she came to UNDP, and I cannot believe that you didn't call me for the naked men. I get called for I have this book of the 50 hidden gardens in New York, and we have to go to every single one. And I'm like, there is no we in this. But you know, Veerle's irrepressible energy and her enthusiasm and her ability to sell you a large box of poo while explaining to you it's manure, and there will be a rose. I saw more of those gardens than I intended to see. But I am so pissed about the naked men. You know, my first memory of Veerle, and it's actually a comment on you know, her ability to rise above, was having a furious fight in I can't even remember where we were, when she was with UNEP, and I was dealing with, oh bless us all, the Bali Strategic Plan of Action. And we started with a huge disagreement, and then we kind of migrated to the bottom of the stairs, and then we migrated up the middle of the stairs, and we sat there for 2 hours, and we moved from furious disagreement to possibilities, and okay, sounds reasonable, and she, you know, Topfer entrusted this to her. It was dying, and as I said to her after she came to UNDP, and would moan occasionally, I said, aha, there are no free gifts in life. But she is a wonderful person. She's been a great friend across the years. I think I know her a little differently from many of you. But I've also worked with her. I got lent back to her, most notably in 2009 for climate. And it was a great experience. And I have to say, even when I am thinking of smacking her very, very hard, which I have, an hour later, I remember that I really like her, because her ability to spin, turn, come down facing in the other direction, and reorient and charge off and, you know, come at a problem from a different way is, I think, something that almost all of us have commented on. And my old boss, Bruce Strange, would say to me, you know, she's one of the most likable people I know. I don't always understand what she's saying because she's talking very fast, but it sounds good and it's such a pleasure. And for those of you who know Bruce, I would say that, you know, he's not a man who gets effusive about many people. But I look forward to keeping in touch, and I am expecting naked men in my future.
Well, I had to say a word. So I was working myself to say a few words, and till the moment I got something such as, it was the best 3 years of my life. You want me to beat that? Adriana, I was wondering when she was to stop. We were at a level of emotions that's I might have reached once in my life. So in advance I apologize for the lack of love declarations of that magnitude, but my words will be sincere. The two of us basically ended up stuck with what was clearly not an optimum institutional situation. The UNDP GEF Executive Coordinator is basically squeezed between the GEF Council, composed of Ministries of Finance, and UNDP, with its board of Ministry of Development and Foreign Affairs. And you are speaking about two highly introvert, schizophrenic organizations. And so when you are the UNDP GEF Executive Coordinator, you very quickly come to the conclusion that your purpose in life is to get slapped. One day by the GEF, one day by UNDP.
That's why I can't stand
Just learn to enjoy it. Because it never gets better. But through a number of discussions with Veerle, I discovered that actually being the EEG director might not be much better.
the EG director, you have to deal with a UNDP GF team which is fiercely independent and that simply doesn't want to work with you. And you have to deal with regional bureaus who simply do not want to work with you. And so you're also in these situations where you get slapped one day, you get slapped another day. And so with such a terrible institutional setup, normally we should not have been able to operate in an harmonious manner. And
I have to interrupt, it's my son.
Oh.
It's one of my sons. I have 2 sons and 1 dog.
Sorry, I'm so late.
It's okay.
And despite this terrible setup, he can say that this was the best years of his life.
I'm just here as moral support.
And despite this terrible setup, we ended up working together and often working very, very well together. And
often.
For me,
When not?
not always, but often. And I think, and the credits do not come to me, but definitely to you, Veerle. I think it's. I remember the number of times I would walk from my door to go to see you, and with basically murder in mind. And after 10 minutes, I will walk out of the door saying, after all, we do have a win-win situation. And you have a tremendous capacity to basically bridge differences, identify win-win options, and to basically use common sense and diplomacy to avoid friction. And I don't know where you got that talent, but it's a real talent, and it's and it's something which is particularly invaluable in that context. It was also invaluable in the context of climate change negotiations. One of my great relief in my former position was that I did not have to play an active role in the UNFCCC negotiation, because it's definitely not something enjoyable, and I've always been in full admiration of your capacity to capture, to basically consolidate zillions of different data, make sense of it, and explain it in a clear and concise manner to the rest of the house. And I think for me that's your second major intellectual strength, your capacity to express complex concepts in a clear and concise manner. And I remember for me one of my best examples is with the French actually, where I tried to convince them about carbon finance. And clearly I had no traction. And 2 weeks later they came back to see me and say, oh, actually we like this idea, we spoke with Ali, we understood everything. So it seems that your English was better to convince French representatives than my French. And so basically I would like to deeply thank you for all the patience and all the skills that you have been able to demonstrate to make EEG work. Because when it did work, it was very high, and I'm not so sure that whether UNDP will fully ever appreciate what did happen in terms of the high-level panel on climate financing, the green climate facility. It's make it look simple, but it was not simple. It was not a given. It was not a given that UNDP would be one day regarded as one of the lead agencies for climate change, for reduced emission from deforestation and forest degradation, for biodiversity. So I hope that's the full magnitude of your contribution will be fully appreciated as it's materialized years after years. On my side, I will miss our lunch on the afternoon in the Japanese restaurant.
Thank you. Thank you. Ellie, could you come in closer and bring people who are standing on the hall into the room? There's no need to stand out in the hall. Okay, thank you so much. I see Simon is visiting us. And Minoru, this is your turn, and we'll hear a few more people. Minoru, go ahead. And could you stand closer?
I want to be very setting the tone again. So Veerle, thank you very much for all the work. Like everybody said, you're really fearless. Now, when I think about it, it's like a fish flying from a pond, going there. When we are not fearful, you can do all kind of things that is completely out of the box. You told me so many times, Veerle, you must go out of the box so many times from the beginning. And I very much thank you that I don't know whether I was able to go like fish, but I think that this is one of the things that you told me about it, and this is really the deep appreciation on that. Secondly, you have been so straightforward and direct. And I know you have 3 sort of children, so I know how you could be doing it in that way. I'm learning day to day to educate my sort of getting to the teenager son. So I have to be learning how to do it in this way. But then, one of the first things that you told me when you joined here, and then we now and then sometimes we write stupid emails to my colleagues and all sudden those things. And then I was called upon by you and I said, Veerle, what is this? This is a kind of email that you'd regret or be ashamed for if you actually sort of looked it back like 3 years after that. And when I look at it, in fact, this was so terrible emails. Yes. Thank you very much, my mother. I apologize. Forgive me for doing this one. But lastly, what really sort of amazed me you, Veerle, is that you keep going. I was brought in at the middle of my career when you came here to do, okay, this time is climate change, okay, all right, we'll do it. But I was also brought in and started following some part of the climate change convention, It's really tiring. And then, okay, Veerle, this is what is happening or not happening on this one. Okay. This is what you need to be doing. This is a big proposal. Go there and this one. Each time whenever I'm disappointed to actually look at those things and then down on this one. Next day you always come up with something big and nice, thought-provoking. Really sort of amaze me. You always keep going. And I think this is something that I actually sort of take as a lesson. And you really taught me a lot. Thank you very much for this one. And the last but not least to say that you've got the best mother in the world.
Thank you.
Veerle joined after I had retired, after I had left UNDP. I was actually with the Jeff Secretariat writing the operations manual for the GEF at that time. And the World Bank, this is in 2008, early 2008, had started this whole big strategy for the climate investment funds, coming up with that. And I was following that, and I was aghast because I had seen drafts of what was coming out from the bank, and it was terrible. It was basically only environment, no sustainable development, no role for the UN, no role for NGOs, etc., etc. So I came to back to New York, and I informed Veerle, who I had met for the first time, and I said this is what was happening. And she said, listen, since you're there working in Washington, can you please help represent me informally and feed me back on that and start lodging protests and things, which is what I did, and as a former World Bank staff in the old days, they actually listened a bit. But then after I came back, finished up that assignment and came back, Veerle sort of hired me to sort of be a representative to the climate investment funds. But the net result, and this is what I wanted to share, was thanks to Veerle pushing it with the head of UNDP, was Kemal Dervis, I think at that time, etc. We were able, together with the other UN agencies, to change the whole framework of the climate investment funds to what it is today. A far more open, far more a body which has the UN system, has the NGOs, etc. So had it not been for Veerle pushing that we would have had, it would have been very, very different. So Veerle, I just wanted to say very briefly, congratulations for having done that, and I've enjoyed both our lunches, normally Indian, and our dinners, normally Belgian. Okay.